Ma'am, the Skill India report says that more than 35% of our BTech students are unemployable, 30% of our MBA students are unemployable, 60% of our ITI students are unemployable, and more than 75% of our polytechnic students are unemployable. So, and you know, ma'am, I have been the perfect witness to this entire transition because 10 years back I was in college and I am that student that you're talking about who thought after college I'll find a great job. But by the end of college, I realized that I do not know anything that is relevant to the industry today. And 10 years later, now I'm recruiting engineers and I'm seeing the same problem, ma'am. They're reading out of outdated textbooks, they're reading outdated concepts, and they do not know anything that is relevant for today's industry. So, ma'am, how are we solving this problem for the middle of the pyramid, which is our engineers and management students at least?
You've put your example forward. First thing I think, and this is not to say it's not part of government's own responsibility. The drive that an individual has to recognize that this is not going to work out for him and he has to find a different thing. As I say, get your mojo back. How do you get your mojo back? Once you identify that you don't seem to have your mojo in a particular area, and if you have to acquire it, what is it that you have to do? And once you identify, there are now online or offline courses available for you to be able to equip yourself better. That is one. And second, peer group learning is something which I think till my college days, we've all benefited from. Today, the world is so fast. We think each of our mobiles will be our peers. No way.
Yeah.
Peers are those who will be able to sit with you and put you the context in which you'll have to search for what is missing in you. Those kind of interactions are now becoming very few and far between. That's a second. And the third, it is true you quoted the ITIs. ITIs unfortunately are with the state governments. Many state governments in the last 30, 40 years have stopped investing in them. Why do you need to invest in them? Upgrade the tools. Bring in newer tools with which you'll train the young person. And not just in the same repeated skills. There are newer areas in which we want people to come. Take the example of today, the expansion in renewable energy, particularly solar. Who are the young people who are laying the panels, who are setting the panels to a certain angle facing the sun? Who are those people? They're not high-end skilled workers. Where did they acquire? And today, to meet the ever-growing demand of solar energy, you have people who are servicing it. You have people who understand how the film has to be, maintained, cleaned, and how it has got to be placed, and so on. So that sector has found itself having to adjust very quickly to changing requirements. Similarly, for other sectors too, we need both the state and the central government together with private sector joining hands to say, I need good trained workforce or else I'm not going to be able to fill the gap. That's what happened during the COVID. I've been in touch with most of the industry during COVID when it was all shut up to make sure that the workers go back to where they want to go back, that they are not facing any hardship and so on. Similarly, after the lockdown was lifted, I was in touch with them again to say, are they coming back? You would be surprised to hear that many of them who booked the air tickets and got these workers earlier through some middle person were told, no, sorry, we are not coming back.
Why?
Because these workers found better bargaining
Okay.
with other areas, so they were able to choose to go to a different company. Or with the skills that they acquired, they thought they'll be able to do something of their own in their own neighborhoods, in the villages. I heard at least 2 large industrialists tell me, and they belong to the south. They said, well, I'm not getting the same people who I had trained over the last several years. I'm going to have to invest to get newer fellows and train them. But, well, now I've realized that how much ever you do, it might be better off for you to get local fellows and train them. So many of the southern districts of Tamil Nadu also which face labor related problems because they don't have enough opportunities, were picked up and they were trained. And even they had a different level of satisfaction because now they're very closer to home, they're willing to work. So, such a reset in the labor market is happening post COVID.
So, ma'am, you're saying that the center and the state need to again coordinate on this and make sure that there's an industry academic connect such that the demand and supply both are matched, right? And the one question that I had, and
Which
this is
had worked initially very well,
Okay.
and probably continues to work in the domain of startups, where we brought in these startups to join hands with the hubs which were set up in IIT like places, Indian Institute of Sciences like places. People came there, sat
Okay.
with them, and they helped them to understand where the problem is and where their solutions have got to come. And it has become a big catalytic center, these hubs.
Hi guys, thank you so much for watching the Indian Business Podcast. If you find value in our work, please hit that subscribe button because for you it might be a zero effort task, but for us, that subscriber count is an important instrument to get great guests to our podcast and to make this podcast better for you. So if you find value, please subscribe.